Located along the Mississippi River in Alton, Illinois, this place is known as the most haunted small town in America. Looming atop the highest point of the town, known as Mount Lookout, stands a red brick mansion. It is majestic, yet cold like a giant tomb holding the memories of over a century. This is the McPike Mansion. The mansion was built by one of the most powerful and respected men of the last century, Henry Guest McPike. He was a friend of President Lincoln and the man who developed the famous McPike grape. But this beautiful and magnificent estate has seen its fair share of ups and downs. For decades, it was abandoned, left to rot, only to become a sanctuary for souls. It is now one of the most infamous haunted locations in the country. The story begins in 1869. Henry Guest McPike chose the highest hill, Mount Lookout, to build a mansion in the Italianate-Victorian style, complete with 16 rooms, a vaulted wine cellar, and sprawling vineyards. It remained beautiful and proud until Henry passed away inside the home in 1910. His family gradually moved away. The house passed through several hands, and by 1950, it was completely abandoned. And this is when the real death of the house began. For nearly 50 years of neglect, McPike Mansion was stripped to the bone, literally. Looters broke in, tearing out marble fireplaces, prying off exquisite wood trim, smashing windows, and even stealing the toilets. The house became a hollow shell, standing desolate against the wind, rain, and time. But they say that when a house suffers physical trauma, it opens up spiritual rifts. The desolation, the loneliness, and the memories of glory days created a melancholy energy, anchoring the spirits to the property. In 1994, the fate of McPike Mansion changed when Sharon and George Luedke bought it at an auction. They wanted to restore its former beauty, but from the very first days, they realized they were not the only masters of the house. The first chilling incident happened just about 6 weeks after they bought the place. Sharon was gardening in the front yard, watering some dry plants. In an accidental glance, she looked up at a window on the upper floor of the empty house, and she froze. Standing there, behind the dusty glass, was a man. He was wearing a striped shirt and a tie, staring down at her with a blank, emotionless gaze. Sharon rubbed her eyes. She knew for a fact the house was locked tight, and there was absolutely no one inside. When she looked back, the man had vanished. Her initial fear eventually turned into curiosity. Later, while researching the home's history and looking through old photos, Sharon found a picture of Paul Leichinger, the man who owned the house from 1908 until his death in 1945. In the photo, Paul Leichinger was wearing the exact same striped shirt and tie that she had seen in the window. But Paul isn't the only one. The smell of tobacco smoke frequently fills the air thick and distinct, even though no one in the Luedke family smokes. It's a sign that Paul is nearby, keeping his old habit alive even from the other side. If you are faint of heart, do not ever step foot into the cellar of McPike Mansion. This is the epicenter of the most intense and terrifying paranormal activity. The wine cellar at McPike is a vaulted room, damp and dark. The air here is always a few degrees colder than outside, a bone-chilling cold that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. There is a famous story recorded during a paranormal investigation here. A group was gathered in the cellar. One woman in the group began to feel uncomfortable, suffocated, as if something were squeezing her. She asked to go upstairs for some fresh air. A friend went with her to ensure she was safe. The rest of the group remained in the cellar, in the dark, waiting. Minutes later, they heard footsteps. Thud, thud, thud. Clear footsteps coming down the wooden stairs leading to the cellar. The footsteps walked across the cold concrete floor, heading straight for them. And then, screech. The sound of the heavy metal cellar door rang out, metal grinding against stone. The door slowly creaked open. Everyone thought the two women had returned. But when they looked at the doorway, no one was there. The corridor was empty. Darkness swallowed everything. They ran upstairs to check and found the two women were still outside on the patio. They hadn't stepped back down. So who or what made those footsteps? Who opened that heavy iron door right in front of everyone's eyes? In photos taken in the cellar, people often see white mists surrounding visitors, or shadow figures lurking in the corners. Sharon Luedke even captured a photo that appears to show the silhouette of Henry McPike standing right at the cellar door, like an eternal sentry. Not all the ghosts at McPike Mansion are threatening. Some presences bring a sense of sadness and nostalgia rather than fear. Sharon tells of a spirit named Sarah. She often smells the scent of lilacs wafting through the third floor, even though there are no such flowers nearby. Sometimes, she feels a light touch on her shoulder or even an invisible hug from behind. At first, the name Sarah was just something Sharon came up with, but a chilling coincidence occurred when a man came to return some old books he had taken from the house years ago. Opening a book, Sharon was shocked to see the name Sarah Wells written neatly inside. Could Sarah be a devoted servant, someone who loved the house so much she chose to stay and care for it forever? And then there is the laughter of children. Previous tenants and current visitors often hear children giggling and running through the quiet hallways at night. No children live there. People believe these could be the spirits of the McPike children who died young, or children who lived there when the house was a boarding school. They play with the cat balls, light-up motion toys that investigators bring, moving them in the dark upon request, like an eternal game of hide-and-seek between two worlds. But the haunting at McPike Mansion isn't limited to ghosts. Terrifyingly, they can also physically affect you. During a tour, while everyone was standing on the first floor, suddenly a deafening crash erupted from the floor above. The sound was so loud that plaster dust rained down on everyone's heads. It sounded as if the entire ceiling upstairs had collapsed, or a massive bookshelf had fallen over. Panic ensued. Everyone feared a cave-in. The guides and visitors rushed upstairs to check the scene. They braced themselves to see a pile of rubble, but when they got there, everything was exactly as it had been. Nothing had fallen. No part of the ceiling had collapsed. No furniture had moved. The room was perfectly normal, deathly silent. Where did that horrific sound come from? Was it a residual audio memory, or a prank by an invisible force trying to scare off the curious? Many visitors also report seeing orbs of light flying around, and shadow figures darting past so quickly you question your own eyes. Some have even seen a woman in a blue dress floating above the staircase, her feet not touching the ground, her hair blowing as if in a breeze, even though the windows are sealed shut. Interestingly, despite the many bizarre phenomena, the Luedke family maintains that the spirits here are not evil. Sharon considers them housemates, silent protectors. She believes Henry McPike, Paul Leichinger, Sarah, and the others stay because they love the house. They want to protect it from the ravages of time and man. However, for outsiders, the feeling of stepping into a desolate mansion, smelling the tobacco of a dead man, and hearing footsteps in a dark cellar is still an experience of sheer terror. Recently, reality TV shows like Ghost Adventures have visited and claimed to sense negative energies, perhaps even something demonic. While locals and the owners often refute this as dramatization, one thing is undeniable. There is an invisible weight that presses on the chest of anyone who walks through the front doors of McPike Mansion. Today, McPike Mansion still stands tall on the peak of Mount Lookout, gazing down at the city of Alton. It is slowly being restored, bit by bit, thanks to the efforts of the Luedke family and history lovers. But no matter how much fresh paint is applied, the soul of the house belongs to the past. Thank you for listening to the story of McPike Mansion. Do you believe a house can hold on to the souls of its former owners out of love? Or is it a curse that imprisons them forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can meet again in the next mystery file.